Hi folks, I'm Terry Tripler. Well, today is Wednesday, January 14, and we're talking airfares. In session one, we talked about the difference between the general rules or the contract of carriage and the fare rules. And we talked the fact that general rules apply to all fares unless a fare rule specifically overrides a general rule. And you'll remember I mentioned that the fare rule is what really can make the difference on your ticket. It's not so much the general rule, it's the fare rule. Well, a perfect example is the guaranteed airfare rule. So let's take a look at Delta. Delta Airlines contracted carriage, or their general rule, Rule 1D, reads in part, travel will be governed by the rules that are in effect on the date your travel begins. So in other words, according to Delta's general rule, they state that whenever you buy your ticket, is immaterial, the fare and the rules that are in effect on the day your travel begins are the fares you're going to pay. Now, in order for that to be different, a fare rule must override this general rule. And folks, I looked at about 50 Delta fare rules, and they were all the same. And let's take a look at one. I did a Delta Boston to Seattle. And they have a special fare for 203 round trip, and the code is TN14NIGT. Now, TN14NIGT is governed by fare rule number 7777, which reads, under the penalty section, transportation is subject to rules, fares, routings, charges in effect on the day and time the ticket is issued. Now, this fare rule has overridden the general rule. The general rule, the contract of carriage read that it's in effect on the day travel begins. The fare rule and the 50 other fare rules that I looked at all read that it is based upon the day that you purchase your ticket. So there's a perfect example of where a fare rule overrides the general rule. We'll look at another one, and that's United Airlines. Let's look at their general rule. United's general rule, contract of carriage, Rule 1C reads, except as otherwise provided within specific fare rules, meaning unless the fare rule reads differently, transportation subject to the rules, fares, and charges in effect on the date on which the ticket is issued. So United's general rule reads that you go by the day the ticket is issued. Whatever the rule is in effect, whatever the fare is in effect, that's what it's going to be. Now, in order for it to be different, the fare rule that you choose has to override that, and I haven't found one on United. So there's a perfect example of how the general rules and the fare rules can contradict one another, and when they do, the fare rule overrides the general rule. I'm Terry Tripler, and we're talking airfares.